Hello everyone, it's nice to be with you today. I'm working on an update to the Natural Earth dataset, working on coastlines, rivers, and lakes initially, and I want to show you what I have. So I'm going to open up Adobe Illustrator file, and here are the new vector data that I have brought in through Map Publisher. And it's all pretty good. It's more spatially accurate than the old Natural Earth data set. But one of the problems is I don't have names attributes for the rivers. So to get those, I'm going to rely on a pretty unusual source. It's the 1967 Soviet World Atlas that I downloaded from davidrumsey.com. Here's northwestern Russia. It's a two-page spread. You can see the crease in the middle. And look at this. It has a graticule, which is all very nice, but I don't know what the projection is. It looks like it could be an azimuthal or a conic projection, and I'm compiling Natural Earth in the Geographic or WGS84 projection, as it's called in Map Publisher. So I'm going to have to rectify this and reproject it to the WGS84. Now, one of the reasons I'm using this atlas is, we'll zoom in a little bit, is that it's, very nicely designed, and it has many rivers on it, and what's more, it has lots of river names, and they're all romanized, which makes life very easy for me. You'll also notice that the graticule intersections have coordinate values on them, and this is something that I added as a separate layer in Photoshop, so when I'm doing the control point placement, I actually know where I am. Because if you miss one of these graticules or put the wrong number in there, it just messes up the map rectification. So without further ado, let's rectify this map. We'll go to the File drop menu to Automate, and here's all the Geographic Imager functions. We'll go to GeoReference, and at the top you see the map where we're going to be placing the control points. It's very small, and so we'll have to get the magnifying glass and zoom in quite a bit so we can see the control points. Okay, there they are. And then get the Add Control Point button, go to each of the intersections. We'll do this first one here, and a row appears, double click on it, and we'll specify WGS84 so we could enter latitude and longitude coordinates. There's the first one. So the first control point has been placed. Then it's just a matter of clicking on every other intersection and doing the same, entering the latitude and then the longitude, and so on. Now there's 92 control points on this map, and we're not going to do all of them now. I did them earlier today, exported the control points as a CSV file, and I'm going to re-import them by clicking this button right here. So here's the Soviet Atlas control points as a CSV. We'll double click that. We just brought them all in, and if I zoom out from the map, you can see that there's now 92 control points on the map. So at this point, we're ready to do the rectification. So the first thing that we need to do is go to the bottom of this window and click on Specify to specify the coordinate system. And we will select WGS84, since that's what the map publisher file is in. But if you wanted to bring this into Equal Earth or any other projection, you could do that by selecting it. So we'll select WGS84. And then next, go up closer to the top and click the Rectify Using button. And then a menu appears, and there's various equations that we can use for the rectification. If we only have 3 or 4 points, we can use a fine. But we have 92, and so we can use quintic polynomial, which is more accurate. And then just click OK. The transform dialog appears. We'll click transform, and then the magic happens. Geographic Imager will transform this unknown projection to the WGS84. We'll zoom out. And now we see that the latitude and longitude lines are straight, as we'd expect on a cylindrical projection, but the outer envelope of the map is, of course, arced. Now, also notice that Geographic Imager not only reprojected the atlas map, but also the coordinates. And we don't need the coordinates anymore. They were just a temporary measure, so we'll delete those, and we will save this using Quick Save to Format as a GeoTIFF and put it on the desktop. Give it a slightly different name. There we go. Now let's go back to our Adobe Illustrator map, and we will import that rectified image. Would import map data, browse, there it is, okay, okay, okay already. And now we see the rectified image. Let's take a closer look at this. I'm going to turn off the modern hydro layer and just show you the graticule and toggle the graticule on and off. So you can see this map publisher graticule that I'm toggling is almost identical to the graticule on the Soviet Atlas map. So I think we nailed the rectification in this case. But look at this. If I turn on the modern hydro layer, the coastlines and rivers don't align with the map below. And that's because I think that the Soviets deliberately distorted the geography of the map. Now, what we have is probably close enough to read river names off of the rectified Soviet Atlas map. But in this exercise, we're going to do this a little bit better. We're going to use a really cool tool in Photoshop for aligning the modern rivers with the Atlas map almost exactly. So the first thing I'm going to do is export the hydro layer, because we're going to have to bring that into Photoshop. So we'll go to Map Views. Here's the hydro layer, and we're going to export this as a shapefile. Put it on the desktop. Very good. And now we will go back to Photoshop and Geographic Imager, and let's import that shapefile. To do that, we go to the File drop menu, down to Import, and Geographic Imager, Lines and Areas, Import. And we'll look for that shapefile. There's the hydro layer, and we'll bring it in. And Geographic Imager brings in the shapefile as a path, which is all well and good, but we need to create a new layer and stroke this path so we could do the alignment in Photoshop. So the first thing I'll do is create a new layer, and we'll call it Hydro. And then to stroke this path, we have to select a brush to stroke it with. I want to stroke with black, so my foreground color is black. I will go to my brushes window. I'll select the hard brush, and it's 3 pixels in width, which is about just the width that we need to use. Then, to do the actual stroking, open up the Paths layer, and at the bottom left, you'll see the Stroke Path with Brush button. We'll click that, and the stroking will start. This takes a minute or two to complete, and when it's done, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, and at this point, the path has been stroked. We no longer need the path, so I'm going to delete it. And what we're left with now, we'll zoom in a little bit, is 2 layers, the hydro layer, the modern hydro, on top of the old Atlas map. Now, to get these things to align, what we'll do is go to Filter and open up the Liquify filter dialog. And this is really a pretty amazing filter. We've got a really big brush. We're going to use the default tool, the forward warp tool, to move things around. What we'll do is we'll put the hydro layer as in the foreground under this show backdrop, and let's see what we could do. I'll just click with the brush, and as you can see, I'm using my index finger on the trackpad, and I'm just gently moving the Soviet Atlas map. It's called Liquify, and you can see why. It basically is almost liquid. And I like using a big brush initially for these sorts of adjustments. The effect of the brush is greater toward the center and less toward the periphery. And so you can just click and drag and get things aligned pretty well. And once I do my initial adjustment, I will get a smaller brush and go in and work on the detail. We'll just kind of bring that up, bring that over, bring that up, bring that down. And you can see we could get these to align almost exactly. To do this entire map took me about 15 or 20 minutes to do, and we're not going to do the whole thing right now. What I did do, however, is I saved the mesh that I created for this distortion, and I'm going to load it right now. Here's the liquefied mesh, and this will snap everything into place. Yes, doesn't that look nice? And we'll click OK. We're back in Photoshop now, and here we can see all of the rivers and lakes and coastlines align almost exactly. We can delete the hydro layer. We don't need it anymore, and we will export this file now, and we'll keep it as a GeoTIFF. And after the using the Liquify filter, the georeferencing is maintained, fortunately. And let's just call this WGS84 L for Liquify. Save it to the desktop. Now we'll go back to the Adobe Illustrator file, and let's import that liquefied image. So we'll go to Import Map Data, Image Browse. There's the liquefied image. And we'll bring it up to the next higher layer there. So what I'll do now is toggle the liquefied image on and off. You can see how it aligns to the coastlines and rivers a lot better. And look at the graticule. That shows the distortions that the Soviets applied to the map. It's kind of unusual. It's not systematic at all. So anyway, we've just basically thawed this cartographic relic from the Cold War, and now I could zoom in on this map, and it's a little bit blurry because I used a low-res version, but I can now read the river names off of the Soviet map, and then select the various rivers and go into attributes and apply those river names. So that's in a nutshell how I did extreme map rectification using Geographic Imager and the Liquify filter. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them. Thank you.